What is shaking, everybody, and happy holidays? It is Monday again, and we're back with another episode of Your Brain on Vinyl. I'm here with my co-host, Chris. Chris, what is happening, dude?
What's up, Jason? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you, man.
Did you get me anything good?
Oh, well, you're going to find out pretty soon, actually.
Nice.
So Chris and I have had the idea of developed this idea of 12 songs of Christmas. So each of us are going to gift each other 12 songs. And in the process, maybe even gift you 24 songs. Who knows? So yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. I'm gonna show 12 songs that I think Chris needs to hear, he needs in his life, and he's gonna show me 12 he thinks that I need in my life. And yeah, man, we'll just jam through this, have some fun. It's a holiday. We're all taking it easy. Grab some eggnog, and just chill out and vibe out with us. So how does that sound, Chris? Did I miss anything?
Sounds good. The only thing we should mention is sometime in January, we're going to have the I kept it or I returned it follow-up to this playlist that we're providing each other. So it gives us an opportunity to say, I liked it, disliked it, returned it because I already had it. Just have a little fun with it. So keep your receipts, man.
All right, I will keep my receipts. I'll keep my receipts. That's a good one, dude. All right. Well, let's go through these, man. I mean, dude, Christmas is right around the corner. Here we are. I can't believe Christmas Eve is tomorrow and Christmas is Wednesday. Like, it just snuck up.
Doesn't feel like it, man.
I know. I finally got the tree up and some lights just to have a little bit of, like that feeling of Christmas. But yeah, let's get through these, baby. Let me go through my first one here. This is a tune that is from 1989. I really think this is the perfect combination of like 80s R&B, late 80s R&B, late 80s hip hop. And this is Neneh Cherry's Buffalo Stance. So I don't know if that's one that you're familiar with, but this is one that, listen to this when it came out back in the day. It was hot and heavy on the radio. But recently, I probably listened to this thing like 1,000 times. I just love it, man. It's such a cool song. And I had to snag it on vinyl. This is the 12-inch. But yeah, that's going to be your first Christmas gift. On the first day of Christmas, I'm gifting you Neneh Cherry's Buffalo Stance. So definitely check that one out, Chris.
Sweet. So she have a cowboy hat on that cover or what? What's the deal there?
I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a Christmas hat. We just, or something. I don't know. Probably a cowboy hat. Yeah. She was cool, man. She was on Arsenio a couple times, from what I've seen. And she's insists that I hope I'm getting this right, but there's a specific pronunciation of her name, which, you could think, is it Nene? Is it Nene? Is it this or that? It's Neneh. I think that's how she says it. Neneh.
Neneh.
So, yeah.
All right. I like it. So the first one I chose is a Billy Bragg and Wilco song for you. Just real brief on this album itself. So they found a bunch of Woody Guthrie lyrics that were not published to music, or he never wrote music for it. They offered the project to Bob Dylan. And for whatever reason, Dylan turned it down. I don't know the whole story. It's like the late 90s, early 2000s. So Wilco picked up the project and they collaborated with Billy Bragg on 3 volumes of this kind of anthology, which is really cool. The song I'm going to give you, I picked because it's about your home state, and it's a song called California Stars. So I felt like you should hear this. It's like a cool folk indie rock song, and it just talks about being in California in a general way. So I thought you'd find that cool. So Billy Bragg and Wilco, California Stars. Can't hear you, Spins.
I'm excited, dude. Are you going to rap it for me too?
I'm not a good rapper, lyrically and physically. So I'm just going to put it on the digital playlist.
That's funny. Okay. Yeah, for sure, man. That's good enough. Cesar, what is up, man? Good to see you here as always, dude. Thanks for being here. All right. Next one for me And this is one that I've been talking about here and there on the YouTubes. But this is one you got to hear, dude. We talk a little bit about, and I know you're a hip hop guy. I know hip hop is your very first love. And you know me, I love hip hop too, although I go back maybe a decade, earlier. And so this is going to be a 1985 is when this album came out. I'm pretty sure the tune came out in 84. So we're talking early hip hop. But I want you to get into the original Human Beatbox. Here we got Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick on wax, and this is the tune Lottie Dottie. So this is the 12-inch single has Lottie Dottie. It's actually the A side is The Show, which is great, and the B side is Lottie Dottie. But man, dude, these are songs that I grew up with. I mean, literally when I was around 12 years old, 13 years old, right in there, I was listening to a lot of the early hip hop stuff, Fat Boys, Houdini, Dougie Fresh. And so this is your chance to kind of see where all those roots come from the early days, man. Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick doing Lottie Dottie with the Human Beatbox, of course, on there. So that's a great one. You might even be tempted to play the A side after that, man, and hear the show as well. So
nice. Well, I like we were going with this because my next two picks were strategic. I know that you talk about the early days of hip hop, and then that's kind of bridged into my era of hip hop. But then there's some modern stuff that, well, they're not even modern. The next two picks are actually still kind of old comparatively, but this is one group that you and I have talked about, and I just feel like this is one of their newer releases, even though it came out a few years ago, and that's going to be The Roots. This is one of their last 2 or 3 albums, How I Got Over. So it's a more modern groove. And the song I'm going to gift you is called Radio Days, which actually has a couple of guests on it. And it's just like a really cool philosophical discussion about modern society. Black Thought really crushes the lyrics on this, but the groove is so fresh. Obviously they have a lot of band instrumentation going on. So trying to pull you up and pull myself up at times from the eras that we grew up in, but I'm going to recommend this on the gift list so you can check them out and kind of step into some more modern things.
Oof. Dang, dude, coming correct early, dude. I love that. I'm excited about The Roots, man. That's going to be fun. All right, next one for me, and this is one that I discovered recently. This could be a Christmas gift to myself. Probably a few months ago I picked this up. If you watch any of my current stuff coming into the end of 2024, you know that I've been like dropping dimes on electro funk and 80s electro funk, hip hop, soul, R&B, just really trying to fill in some gaps. But this is one that was a surprise, dude, but I like it so much you have to hear it. And this is Phase O's Breaking the Funk. And the self-titled tune on here, Breaking the Funk, song one, side one, track one, you got to hear it, dude. I'm really excited to hear what you think. This is funky as hell, dude. I mean, the tune says it all. The record album title says it all. Breaking the Funk, and that's exactly what they do on here, man. The lyrics are cool. The vocalist is really fun. Instrumentation is cool. And you can just see that they're vibing out right there on the cover. So yeah, man, this is a fun one. I'm super glad that I discovered this. It's one of the most cool things is discovering new music, even if it's from the late 70s and early 80s. But man, dude, yeah, you got to check that one out. Breaking the Funk, Phase O. I'm pretty sure you're going to want to hit the repeat button a couple times on that one.
Sweet. What's can you show that cover again? Is there a dude with like a headdress, like a village people?
Yeah, they got like the village people thing going on there, but just check that out. What is it with these bodysuits and everything? I mean, bro. But what is it, like 1979, I think? I mean, they were trying to hang on to disco, but this is going to be like post-disco funk, and yeah, man. The tune is probably just as cool as the cover is. I was going to say it's way better, but no, man, that cover's cool, dude.
All right, cool. So this is cool. We got a cool flow going because at least in the first few picks. So I picked a song from a group called NERD, which is Pharrell from the Neptunes. So what's interesting about that is that when they got first signed, they got signed by Teddy Riley in the mid '90s, right? Of that New Jack era. So I feel that Pharrell, this is a cool album because obviously he's heavily influenced by some of the stuff you just showed and some of the stuff you're kind of getting back into. But a lot of people don't really recognize how groundbreaking this album was. This is his first album, or he collaborated on this first album. So there's a lot of songs in here I could choose, but the one I'm going to choose is Provider. It's track 1 on side B. And if you think about what you know about Pharrell now, and then you go back and re-listen to some of the stuff he was writing at this point, it's like you could see the greatness happening, but I don't think you could recognize the stylistic transformation. So this is like a really cool way to kind of go back and see what he was at his roots. So yeah, it's NERD, which stands for No One Ever Really Dies. And the track is Provider. It's kind of like this the story of a hustler, let's say, without the glam and the gold elevation behind it. It's a real tragic, introspective tune. So yep, one more time, NERD, Provider, for those keeping score at home.
Sweet. Is that Pharrell on the cover?
It's not. No, I don't know who's on the cover, but you can see Pharrell on the back in the middle there.
Yeah.
Dude, when this album came out, there's so much going on in this record. It's got some punk in it. It's got some, like, I don't want to say like Two Live Crew, because it doesn't sound like that, but it's in the spirit of it, and like more of like combine that with like punk hard rock music, and then there's like a lot of blues and a lot of soul on it. It's a really, really interesting record. If you've never heard, I'm hoping Provider kind of springboards you into it, but you can totally see his influences come from that like mid '80s, late '80s New Jack stuff into like early '90s hip hop. So just it's a masterpiece. And this is actually an OG. This is like an old DJ copy I found.
Oh, nice.
Which is all pretty sweet as well. I think the DJ's initials are on the labels inside, and it's in good shape. So it's cool.
What I like about that stocking stuffer there is that I watch Pharrell like his clips and stuff like that, where he talks. He's actually seems really cool from what I've seen. So I mean, as a person or just his content and stuff, I like it, but I've never actually heard his music that I know of. So I'm stoked to check that out, man.
And this one, like everything else after this, there's a steady departure over every album until he got to kind of that pop. I don't want to say pop in a negative context, but like that, Happy and Get Lucky, those big hits. But you can see the roots of that in this early stuff, and you can see how brilliant he was as a producer and as a writer. So yeah, I'm excited for you to check that out.
Hell yeah, that's cool, man. Thanks for that one. All right, next one for me, and you've seen me hold this up a few times, so we'll just jump right into it. But this is Edwin Birdsong, and this is the self-titled. This has Cola Bottle Baby, which runs right into Fizz Fizz. I'm counting that as one tune because you got to hear it rolling right into Fizz Fizz, dude. It's so good. But yeah, I don't know, man. If you have not heard Edwin Birdsong, this is a great place to start. That's probably where a lot of people start. I mean, some of his other stuff's really good too. Like, I'm excited to pick up a couple of his other records. But this is I almost said masterpiece. The more I hear this dude, the more I'm convinced just how great he was and how great this record is, man. It is so, so good. It is not just a tune that got swiped, by Daft Punk. It's very, very good. So yeah, man, he's high quality musician, very unique. He's his own composer in terms of like, when you hear Edwin Birdsong, once you hear this, you'll be like, oh, okay, he has his own style. He's not just a guy in a genre. He's doing his own thing here. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see what you think about it, man. I hope you like it because I love this now, dude. I think it'd be up your alley, once you get in the mood of, hearing some of this stuff, some, electro funk kind of soul stuff. But yeah, man, Edwin Birdsong, Cola Bottle Baby. You got to hear it, man. So sending that one your way.
Nice, man. Nice. Thank you for that. I know you've been hyping that up the past couple of weeks and I haven't dove into it. All right, so I'm gonna break into, I guess, some like singer. I don't want to say singer songwriters, but definitely like composers, guitar, acoustic guitar driven rock, a little bit of Americana in it. And the first one, this album's just a stone cold classic from the '90s. They were kind of on the at the beginning of like the alt country Americana thing that was going on. That's the Jayhawks. The album is Tomorrow, the Green Grass. The song I Want to Give to You is the opening track of the album, which is arguably their biggest quote unquote hit. I don't even really know if they have hits, but it's a song called Blue. And just like melodically, vocally, just a killer group track. Really cool lyrics. Nothing too complex or too insightful. Just like, you know, talking about relationships with people, and just an like acoustic guitar driven track. Really nice harmonies and melodies. So Jayhawks, the album is Tomorrow, the Green Grass, and the track is Blue. That's what I'm gifting to you. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but
heard of that, dude.
Essential, man. Essential.
Cool. Stoked for that one. All right. Next up for me. So the story with this record is, I guess I picked this up. It's been a while now. As I say a while, maybe a year, maybe a little longer. And this is one, it's funny because, well, you know when it was whenever I picked up the the tuner I got here. And I didn't have the turntable yet. So to test it out, I was listening to the radio. And so a tune comes on like classic rock. And it was like a blast from the past. I was like, holy crap. Somehow I remembered it like from 40 years. And even though it had to be like over 40 years. And but I didn't know what it was. I pull out the Shazam and I Shazam it and everything. And it's like, okay, boom, jump on whatever. Discogs probably and bought it. And it's a record by a band called Saga. And this record's called Worlds Apart. The tune is called On the Loose. And man, dude, this just took me back. I mean, don't know if you're a fan of Rush, but it's kind of like if you like Rush, if you like, I'm trying to think, some of that kind of glam rock, I guess, from that era, I guess I would call it. I don't know. Glam rock might be pushing her a little bit, but whatever you call it, it's kind of like in that same, you put this on the same playlist as like Def Leppard and like I said, Rush and stuff like this. But it's Saga, On the Loose, man. It's a fun pop tune, in really in the spirit of like a Rush. So Saga's On the Loose coming your way. And, I don't know, it's funny about these things, right? When you hear something that you haven't heard in so long and it just connects you to your childhood. That's just part of your DNA. It's very hit or miss on whether you can just recommend that to someone and they're going to get it, right? Because you're not going to have the same affiliation with it. But check it out. I'm curious to see what you think. Just think pop, Rush, Def Leppard, and hopefully you can get into it. So yeah, Saga, On the Loose.
What year was that? You said like late 80s?
This is like early to mid 80s. I'm not sure what year this is. Oh, I think I got it.
Well, you said 40, so yeah, mid 80s. That's fine.
Something like that. Yeah. Mid 80s.
Were they like a one-hit wonder?
Maybe, their music. This is a good record, actually. It's got a lot of different styles on it. The first side is really kind of pop rock, and the second side is really more introspective and kind of. I need to go back and listen to this again because I really liked it. I picked up their other record. I'm not sure if it came out before this or after this. I'm not a big Saga expert or anything, but I grabbed the other record. It's really good too. So are they a one-hit wonder? Maybe, but doesn't mean that their stuff's bad. Like their stuff's actually really good. The stuff that didn't get played on the radio.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to talk about one of my favorite artists ever and a person who is probably one of the best 3 or 4 songwriters of my generation, and he was on a very explosive trajectory up until about 3 or 4 years ago. Then he had some pseudo scandal in his life that kind of derailed his career a little bit. And it's Ryan Adams, not Brian, but Ryan Adams. just a prolific musician. He's probably got 17 or 18 studio albums since like 1998 or so, and he was in a band called Whiskey Town before he went solo. Again, another artist, like almost all the artists I chose, I could have chose 25 or 30 songs to gift you. But I'm just kind of choosing some of my favorites, and the one I'm going to gift you here is English Girls Approximately. It's a really cool folk song, essentially like modern folk song, but it's like folk pop, if that makes sense. Just good songwriting, like in the vein of like a Dylan in a way. A little, he's definitely probably inspired by like Townes Van Zandt, like Leonard Cohen a bit, but doesn't sound anything like them. He's just kind of his own animal, and he really just is prolific. I mean, he's still putting out albums kind of under the radar. I've seen him live probably a dozen times. Just an amazing musician. And this record, Love Is Hell, actually came out as a 2-parter when it was first released. Yeah, English Girls Approximately. And as the table turns, shouts out Wonderwall. He does an incredible cover of Oasis's Wonderwall. And kind of actually inspired Oasis in the mid-2000s to start playing it again when they heard his version, when he was opening for them. So, and yes, Breakfast King of Loyola, Ryan Adams is a creep, and most of the musicians we like are creeps. But I try to separate the music from the person as much as I can. Otherwise, I wouldn't like anybody. But yeah, Ryan Adams, English Girls Approximately.
Cool, dude. Yeah, I've seen you talk about him before, so I'm excited to check that one out as well. Ooh, thank you. Looking forward to my stocking this year, man. All right, next one for me. This again, man. This goes back to my DNA, my early days. This is Thomas Dolby's The Golden Age of Wireless, and this is going to be New Wave Deluxe from the 80s. Of course, this is going to have, oh my God, why am I blanking on Blinded by Science? Blinded by Science is the big one I'm sure you've heard on here, but I'm going to gift you a different song. Europa and the Pirate Twins, the first track on side 2. I love that tune, man. I think it's kind of like the hidden gem on this record, which is a great record. I mean, if you're into this kind of thing, Blinded by Science is great, although I'm sure for a lot of people it's like played out and kitschy and all this stuff. And that's why Europa and the Pirate Twins is so good, because it's the one that's great that you haven't heard yet a million times, probably, you know. It's great storytelling. It's upbeat. It's electronic. It's really, really cool and fun. So, you know, when I'm going like 80s new wave and I want something I would call Thomas Dolby a little more sophisticated in that genre, then this is the record I'll go for. And Europa and the Pirate Twins usually is right where I start. So yeah, definitely check that one out, man. I'll drop that in your stocking this year.
I have to ask, does that record sound amazing, seeing it's Thomas Dolby?
Yeah. It does sound amazing. Yeah, right? I mean, big producer and stuff. I mean, yeah, it sounds great.
Nice. All right, another guy. People who know about this guy know. It's just the only way I can really describe him. He's had a song in a commercial recently, and he's had probably like 4 or 5 semi-big hits. Another great songwriter in the spirit of folk, jazz, Americana. I don't want to say bluegrass, but I mean, this guy's just everywhere. His name is Andrew Bird. And this is, I think, 2 or 3 albums ago. It's called My Finest Work Yet. I think this is like his 6th or 7th studio album. The big song off this was Sisyphus, which was in I don't know if it was a car commercial, insurance commercial. Anyway, but the song I'm going to recommend to you is Bloodless. It's kind of like this swingy jazz ballad, but kind of like heady jazz, almost like in the like an acoustic Portishead type sound. Lyrics are really sophisticated. I mean, he's a guy, like when I hear his songs and I catch a lyric, I have to like Google what he's talking about, because he's like citing like poets and authors from like the 14th century. I'm like, what the hell is this guy even saying? But he's super, super talented. I mean, his last album, I think it was called A Sunday Morning Come Up or something like that. It was like a jazz record. He covered Caravan on it. He plays like the violin, he plays the fiddle, he plays guitar. He's just kind of everywhere, but he can't, you're not going to get the same sound in every record. You're not going to get the same sound in every song on every record. So he's kind of like all over the place, but he's really highly regarded. A little bit more sophisticated than the Ryan Adams I've shown, but like I said, people who know Andrew Bird know and really love him. So I think you'll dig this. So yeah, Bloodless is the name of the track. I think you'll like it.
Very nice, dude. I love that cover too, man. Looks like a Michelangelo sculpture or something.
Yeah, actually, if you open it up too, kind of expands. I don't know if you guys can see that.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's been like a guest musician with people too. He's like really critically acclaimed, but I didn't know that about him until I started listening to him. He just sounds great.
Very nice. Wyoming Dave, of course I love Blinded by Science. I was kind of, I'm apologizing to Chris because if he's heard a song by Thomas Dolby, it's Blinded by Science. And so if he gets in his head like everything's that, I just want to make sure he's hip to expecting something a little bit different on this other track. But yeah, of course I love Blinded by Science.
Hey Jason, if I can interrupt for 1 second.
Yeah.
So As the Table Turns that I'm not familiar with, that Andrew Bird, definitely check it out. You can't, like, you could just throw a dart at any Andrew Bird record. You're gonna love it. While we're kind of going through this, Breakfast King of Loyola said, I saw Andrew Bird in 2006. Around that time is when I learned about him. While we're chatting, Breakfast King, I'm wondering if you could describe Andrew Bird and how you'd kind of categorize him, because I think he's tough to kind of pin down. Just want to throw that out there.
Whew. I like this. I'm excited now to check this dude out. All right. Have I brought this up to you before? I think, we did talk about this guy before. Okay. So you asked me a couple questions about him. So I thought, all right, I need to get Chris on board with this guy. This is the famous George Michael, and this is the album Faith. This is the one, if you're going to have one, this has got to be it. I can't see my notes. But the tune I want to recommend to you is One More Try. And it's beautiful. I mean, I think that George Michael's one of the great male vocalists of his time, certainly, if not all time. And One More Try is just a beautiful, sensitive song that, will have me in tears pretty much every time I hear it. So, and I want to know if I'm the only nut that, gets kind of choked up hearing the tunes on here, man, but especially on One More Try. It's so good. So if you have heard it, refresh your mind with it. But yeah, dude, you got to hear George Michael's One More Try. Love that tune. Love this record. I think you asked me before, is like, this is kind of, you could consider this the greatest hits. I mean, it doesn't have everything great that he did, but it has a lot of it. And even the stuff that doesn't show up on the greatest hits that's on here is still money. So this is a fantastic album, George Michael's Faith. It's got to be in everyone's collection, in my opinion. Check out One More Try, and I want a picture if the tears start to stream.
So I asked you about George Michael when we were talking. I forgot what we were talking about, but this is one of those situations. If anybody hasn't picked this up yet, there's an age gap between Jason and I. It's this age gap that's not significant where we can't relate to one another, but it's significant where pop culture, our understanding of pop culture and pop music in general is completely different. It's like completely just two different eras. So right. For me, like, I consider like Madonna and George Michael and like 80s Elton John, like very, I don't want to say taboo, but like I didn't grow up with it. So I never was forced to go back and like listen to it like I would like Prince or something like that. And not to say that they're not as talented as Prince, but so I was curious about George Michael because I'm like, everybody who loves George Michael is like obsessed with him. And I don't know if it was like a novelty or like real deal, but then the more I kind of like saw of him and heard people talk about him or people who play me songs, I'm like, oh my God, this guy was super talented. Plus I also have the affiliation with Wham in my head.
Yeah.
Right. So, but then you see like how many great hits they had. So I'm glad you kind of put that on my list for me to investigate. because I gotta give it its proper attention to understand where we're at. So
Yeah.
thank you.
For sure, dude. And I would say I like that Breakfast King, Loyola, Ivan, Music Man, both chiming in on this. Wyoming Dave, even of the what word did you use? Novelty of any 80s stuff. He's the least novel in my opinion. I mean, this is a real dude. I mean, that's like saying like oh my god, why am I going to space out on her name now? Whitney Houston is not novel to me. Like she is one of the best, greatest singers of all time. You know what I mean? Sang some of the greatest tunes. So yeah, I would expect George Michael to be someone that transcends genres, transcends decades, and stuff. And I just think he's someone that, if you can kind of get into his stuff, I guess maybe getting to introduce him is maybe a little more difficult because now we're talking, 30, 40 years later, whereas, someone that I grew up with. But yeah, I would not classify him as novel. So I would definitely check it out, man.
Yeah, I feel like there's like classic rock stations that exist around the country if you're listening to the radio. And I guess you hear so much of like maybe 3 or 4 George Michael songs on like pop radio, but there's not like a new wave or like not that he was new wave, but there's not like an 80s channel unless you're on like XM. And even that kind of gets bubblegummy a little bit. So it's like, I don't have many people in my life that was like, oh, you got to have this George Michael album. I'm like, here's Led Zeppelin 2 and George Michael Faith. Like, enjoy.
Right.
Those just don't go together. So that's why I'm glad you kind of said that. So cool, man.
Cool.
All right, here's a guy kind of staying in the vein of singer-songwriters, sort of. Definitely a songwriter. Definitely a unique singer. This is a newer artist that not enough people are really taking advantage of. And he's probably got 8 or 10 albums. It's Charlie Crockett, like Davy Crockett, Charlie Crockett. This is an album called The Man from Waco. This was 3 albums ago. It's a concept album. I guess you could say it's a story about a man from Waco. But there is a killer song on here. It's probably one of the best songs I've ever heard in my life, called I'm Just a Clown. He is country in some vein, but he's not like the country that's on the radio now. And he draws a lot of influences, probably more from like the Bakersfield sound. Your Chris Christopherson's, Waylon Jennings, things like that. I'm Just a Clown could have been a Bill Withers tune, dude. It could have been covered by Stevie Wonder, and it could have also been done by the Byrds. It's just like this dynamic, simple tune that's just soulful, has everything you want in it. Nasty guitar solo, horns, introspective lyrics. I saw this guy live with my brother-in-law a few months ago. Just blew us away. I mean, he's amazing. So not only, I hope you investigate this one song, which is probably the one to go for, but his whole catalog is just absolutely incredible. And he should be much bigger than he is. He actually started off as a busker in a hip hop group in New York. Kind of did that scene, underground scene, he probably would have been more famous if YouTube was more prevalent when he was doing that. Then he kind of came back home and reinvented himself. And if you think of stumbling into like a saloon and going to the jukebox, like his stuff is going to be on there, or he might be on the stage in the saloon just blowing people away. Like, he's just an amazing, amazing artist. So Charlie Crockett, I'm Just a Clown.
That's cool. That's a big blind spot for me, man. Is like, the extent of my country is like Marty Robbins and Grateful Dead. You know what I mean? It's like early cowboy music, and then like the Dead, which is like, a whole different side of country, almost psychedelic kind of Americana kind of country. So yeah, I'm curious to explore that. You and Brandon, Mr. Hall of Fame, both have been kind of like hipping me to some music in the country genre. I need to take it seriously and do some of that. So yeah, I'm excited to see that one in my stocking this year, man.
Well, I just want to say, and I think I mentioned this to Brandon the other night. Like, I hate country actually. Like,
Yeah,
I don't like it. But if I find a country artist that I like, it's usually pretty pretty amazing. So like he's classified as country, but when you listen to everything, it's a lot of soul in his voice, a lot of soul in his music. That's why I recommended that.
cool.
Yeah,
Ivan Music Man saw George Michael live. Oh, that's awesome,
that's
dude.
crazy.
Now I'm jealous as hell. And then
So
as table turn just quickly says there's some really great new country artists lately. Cool. Well, yeah, drop them in the chat.
was George Michael in his prime? Like, I'm assuming he's like in a stadium act.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole documentary on him that I saw recently, which is more sad than anything, I guess. But yeah, man, he's one of those guys that sounds amazing live too, man. So I'm sure Ivan had a great time there, man. Because if you hear some of his actually best recordings are like on YouTube. You can find them on some live performances that he's done that are just like unbelievable, man. Papa Was a Rolling Stone maybe you can help me out on that one, Ivan. Papa Was a Rolling Stone into another tune is second to none, or I forget how they do it. It's the beat to Papa Was a Rolling Stone or something like that. I can't remember the other track that's on top of it. But that's unbelievable. So yeah, definitely I'll find it and I'll send it to you too, because that one's a great one also. But yeah, he was a big act, man. All right. All right, next thing. I feel like there's kind of a theme here as we stick into the 80s. But of course, that's where a lot of my heart is in the 80s. And this is one I brought up many times too. But this one is a Killing Joke. And the one on here, the big one, is called Love Like Blood. And dude, I just freaking love that song. We're talking pop, post-punk, kind of into gothic rock. The chorus on Love Like Blood is just singable and air guitarable, and which I'm gonna trademark that, air guitarable, and just so good. So yeah, man. Again, for you, because I know we are, sort of a little distance in age, I guess. This is, you might have to work at this one because it is coming out of the 80s, but dude, it's so good. And I tried to pick tunes that I think are the best of that thing so that you could kind of start there. But yeah, dude, Love Like Blood. I love this thing, and yeah, many a time will I pop this thing on and just sing to it and air guitar to it, and it's great, and it serves that sensibility of everything. It's kind of the best. It's pop in the sense that it's so well done, but it is post-punk, and it does fringe on gothic in terms of its sound and even like the lyrics and stuff without going full Bauhaus, and Susie and the Banshees. So yeah, man, Killing Joke, just great. They also do 80s, which was ripped off by Kurt Cobain. But yeah, man. So definitely check that out. Killing Joke, Love Like Blood, man, and tell me if you like it as much as I do.
What do you mean Kurt ripped him off? Like he stole like guitar lick or something?
Yeah, guitar lick off of the song 80s for help me out, guys. What's the song? The one that goes down 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 down. Come As You
Come
Are,
As You
whatever
Are.
that is, that the title. Yeah, so yeah, that's a messed up story, dude, because of course Nirvana got way bigger than Killing Joke. And so the way the guy from Killing Joke tells it is like, yeah, some time goes by and everything, and it is literally our guitar lick throughout the whole tune that we used for 80s. And it's something to the effect of, we called them up and was like, hey man, can we get some credit for that, or whatever? And like Kurt Cobain basically just hung up on him, like, yeah, right. At least that's what I heard. So another reason why Nirvana is not, why I'll take Foo Fighters over Nirvana any day of the week. Anyway, so yeah, check it out, man.
All right. I'm looking at the comments. So as the table turns, I agree. Sturgill. My best friend is obsessed with Tyler.
I copy and paste that right now.
But Sturgill Simpson's the man. Not country, but has that old country sound. Let's see what else here. Wyoming Dave, Chris Stapleton. Yep. I think Chris Stapleton's just a soul singer, though, who just happens to, write sort of country songs once in a while. But yeah, I guess he's country.
Killer Papa was a Rolling Stone. Go check that out, everyone. It's so cool, man. That's just a great lyric.
Yeah, the new Sturgill is good.
Yeah.
Ivan Music Man's bringing it tonight, Jay.
I'm telling you, man. I'm just going to live vicariously through you on that George Michael thing.
All right, we're gonna jam a little bit now. Don't worry, it's not going to be Fish. Everybody calm down.
I was fully expecting Fish tonight, dude. I know that's going to be its whole other thing. I already know. He's got to come from exactly the right angle to try to get me into Fish. So he's not going to waste his chance here.
All right, so I'm going to choose off this Charlie Musselwhite Tennessee Woman album the song Cristo Redemptor, which is a 12-minute track. But here's the thing why I'm choosing this. Donald Byrd did it first, and it was written by Duke Pearson. They did a shorter version on, I think, Bird's A New Perspective album. Charlie's version is the one. It's amazing. It's going to give you goosebumps. I'm promising you it's going to become one of your favorite songs of all time. It's absolutely incredible. I'm not going to, the song is in a movie, a very famous movie, in a very famous scene that I won't reveal, which I might have revealed in the past by accident. But dude, after you listen to this version, go back and listen to Bird's version, Donald Bird's version. I mean, Donald Bird's version is amazing, but this one absolutely crushes it. So it's Cristo Redemptor off the Charlie Musselwhite Tennessee Woman album. Wow. Cannot wait for you to hear this. It's just gonna rattle your cage a bit, man.
Charlie Musselwhite, the blues harmonist, harpist, just fire, right? So that's interesting because I have not seen that record.
Oh, this is killer classic, dude. Whole record's sick, but this tune especially, like, just lock everybody out, put it on the headphones, and then just melt into whatever you're sitting in, the chair, a couch, the curb. I don't know, but it's freaking incredible.
I love that, dude. Yes, I'm definitely going to check that out. Ivan, thank you so much for the kind words, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, but it's a good time to ask everyone, hit that like in the content. Also, make sure you're subscribed as well so you don't miss anything. Chris and I do this every Monday. We're just chilling because we holiday and stuff, and we'll do a little next Monday. I think we're doing a little New Year's resolution show, so that'll be really fun too. So be here for that. All right, another one I've talked to you about before. Again, this is kind of my chance to make sure that he listens to some of this stuff. But this one, and it's fair enough, dude. It's hard. Like you're on a show with a bunch of people. Everyone's got recommendations. I try to pick and choose. It's hard to hear everything, but this is the one that keeps us honest because we got to come back in about a month and talk about this, what we heard, whether we liked it, whether we've heard it before, we're returning it, are we keeping it? But you've heard me talk about this one. This is Eric Dolphy at the 5 spot. And the reason, obviously it's Dolphy, but man, this has Fire Waltz on it and Mal Waldron on the keys. His solo, and he comes in late. He's like, gets the last solo, I think. It's phenomenal. It truly is a fire waltz, man. It is so good. But, and I said this before, famously, the piano at the 5 spot was brutally out of tune. And Mal Waldron just leans into it, man. He just leans into it and he creates something totally new. When I mentioned it to you before, I think you said, yeah, that's jazz. And it really is. Like, it creates, the reason why we love Thelonious Monk and stuff like that. It's all those notes that don't sound like they belong, but they do for him. Same thing with Mal Waldron on the 5 spot records. They're so good. This one particularly, his solo on Fire Waltz, that's the one that I always think of. So definitely got to check that one out, man, because it's so good. And again, you'll hear it. You'll hear those couple of keys that are very out of tune. But he just, like I said, he leans into them and uses them to his advantage. He doesn't shy away, which he's a superhero for that, man, because he elevates it from what it really is. It doesn't diminish it at all. It just adds to it. So yeah, Eric Dolphy at the 5 spot. We're looking at Mal Waldron's playing on this one on a Fire Waltz.
Nice. Little jazz reco. I like it.
Little jazz. I got a couple
gift.
jazz in here. That's it. Just a couple.
All right, keeping on the theme of long ass songs. That's long ass songs that aren't fish. First time I heard this song, I was bartending. It was the middle of the day. There was like 3 people in the pub, and this person that I really respected went to the jukebox and played this song. And about 3 minutes in, I stopped and I said, "Who the hell is that?" And when he told me the artist, I said, "No way." He goes, "No, dude, it's him." I said, "Play it again." So once the 10 or 12 minutes went, we played it again. Must have played it 4 or 5 times in a row. So it was 3 people in the bar when we played it. He was the only person left after the 3rd time. Everybody else got frustrated and left.
Oh, he's probably pissed at you for that.
Well, no, I was working, so I didn't care.
Oh, okay. You were working. That's right. Okay.
But the artist is Boz Scaggs. Yes, that Boz Scaggs from Lowdown and Lido Shuffle. And the song is Loan Me a Dime, which is this 13-minute, 12-minute blues track that features Duane Allman absolutely shredding on guitar like the most soulful, emotional shredding to back up the lyrics and the mood of the song you could ever imagine. And I just couldn't wrap my head around the fact that it was Boz Scaggs when I heard it, because I just had this connotation of yacht rock with him, and it's a killer blues tune. I can't say too much about it because it's just the song describes itself perfectly through the lyrics, the style, the playing, and Duane Allman absolutely, like I said, just destroys it. So Boz Scaggs featuring Duane Allman, Loan Me a Dime.
Dang, dude. I'm truly excited to check out this playlist, man. I feel like a kid again, you know, when you run downstairs to the Christmas tree and it's like all Star Wars toys and stuff. It's like, that's how I feel right now, man. It's like, this is so cool. Ivan says, if you like 80s, you must buy this 2024 album from Bridget Calls Me Baby. The future is our way out. Screenshotting it right now, my friend. I love that. I'm gonna check that out.
I've heard Arnaldo talk about them a couple of times. I feel like that makes sense.
I'm gonna check that out. All right. My second and last jazz album, and this goes back. It's hard to even call. I mean, if you're gonna start splitting hairs, it's jazz, but it's gonna be more like big band. I talked about this record before. It's Count Basie live at the Sands before Frank. And of course, they had a residency at the Sands Hotel. Basie was the backing band for Sinatra. Sinatra got his record. It's classic. And then they released this, and this is just the Basie stuff that they would come out before Sinatra would come out, play a set, and then Sinatra would come out, and those sides were put on a Sinatra album. Then they released this later. So this is just going to be Basie. The one you have to hear is called Makin' Whoopee. And I always thought, and I've heard this kind of since it was released, it's got to be at least 20 years now. And then we released it on vinyl not too long ago, within the last 5 or 10 years. But Makin' Whoopee, it's got a fantastic, what I thought was a muted trumpet solo. Turns out it's actually a muted trombone solo, which I didn't know until I caught some Basie stuff from this band playing on YouTube. And so I was even more impressed that this guy's playing this solo with a muted trombone and everything, man. It's so freaking good, dude. It's sensitive. Again, it's another one that pulls at your heartstrings, just musically. Because it's just so freaking good, dude. So anyway, definitely check that out off this album. I think it's a slow tune, so it's not going to be like, Jumping at the Woodside and the other stuff that he does, which is so swinging. But it's a beautiful tune. And I know I'm there's a lot of sort of more sensitive music on my list for you, bro. So I hope you're okay with that. But definitely check out Makin' Whoopee, man.
Oh, it's all good. I actually had a really depressing playlist. I pulled some things out this morning and I swapped because I was like, oh, this is going to be a downer if I give you all this stuff. So it's all good. Okay. This next group, outside of, I think the fourth time I'm going to mention Fish, but not show you Fish. So it'd be outside of Fish and probably what Sturgill Simpson is doing right now. This is probably the best live band on the planet. And they've been around for a while. And they're semi-related to the Boz Scaggs record I showed. The band is the Tedeschi Trucks Band. And this is, so this is a cliche recommendation for them, but the song I'm going to recommend is Midnight in Harlem, which, man, it's one of the best songs ever written. There's no arguing it. I'll take anybody that's mad on it. It's just an incredible song, especially if you're from New York and have experienced the city. Even if you haven't experienced Harlem, it just looks and smells and sounds like New York City. This is on a live album called Everybody's Talking. But even if you pulled the studio version or went on YouTube and saw the various versions they've done of it, it's just absolutely incredible. The reason why it's semi-related to that Boz Scaggs connection is Derek Trucks was Butch Trucks' nephew of the Allmans, and he was actually a guitar player in the Allman Brothers band in the revival period, from the late 90s until they hung it up a couple of years ago. And then his wife, Susan Tedeschi, is just a killer blues soul singer and guitar player, and the band is super talented. Just an incredible ensemble. Another group are like, if you know, but they should be much bigger than they are. And I guess it's cool that they're not, but when they go to the Beacon in New York City, they sell out 8 nights in like 30 seconds, and it's like the hardest ticket in town, and everywhere they go, they just cause a ruckus. But incredible band. But again, it's Midnight in Harlem. It was written by the keyboard player at the time in the band, who I think passed away. And man, you close your eyes and hear Susan sing this and Derek play slide on it. It's just freaking incredible. So highly recommend it. One of my favorite songs ever. I never get sick of this song. I could listen to it every day and never get sick of it. It's just absolutely awesome. So
I love the title, man. That's cool, dude. Midnight in Harlem.
Yep.
That's cool. All right. Well, just to kind of catch everyone up, we're doing 12 days of Christmas tonight. Each of us, Chris and I, are gifting each other 12 songs. What I say, 12 songs of Christmas. And so we're gifting each other 12 songs. Hope you guys find something new also. But we are coming down the home stretch. That was number 10. So I got 2. Chris has 2. So just to kind of give you an idea on timing. This one right here, dude, I don't know how much I want to set this up, but because you've seen me talk about it already probably 1,000 times, but it was the gem out of the crate that was underneath the stairways in my house, like however 25 years ago or something, probably maybe between 25 and 30 years ago. And there was one album by this dude, and this is the album, Frank Zappa, Chunga's Revenge. I think I talked about this on our guitar video. And the tune still is Transylvania Boogie. It's the first track on here. And it's just funky, wah-wah rocking. It's Transylvania, dude. I mean, it's so cool. It's Zappa in his element during this time, which is probably like 71, something like, I'm going to say, yeah, 71, because this has like Flo and Eddie are on it and stuff. The 2 guys from the Turtles do a little bit of vocals on here and stuff. But man, there's a lot of great Frank from this era on here, but the big one's kind of Transylvania Boogie, and it's just funky, dude. It's just raunchy. It's that wah-wah pedal up in the bass, and stuff, and it's just, I don't know, man. It's so good. So definitely check it out, man. I know you love some great guitars, and I know you like Zappa too. But if you haven't heard this one, then definitely check it out. Maybe it'll rekindle your relationship with Frank. But I love this. I mean, I'm glad I started here, because with Zappa, you can start in the wrong place and then just get turned off and never come back. But this was a great place for me, because I started picking some other records around this era, and there's some fantastic ones. And yeah, I mean, there it is, man. Transylvania Boogie. Check it out, man. In your stocking. Come tomorrow night.
It was Frank's birthday 2 days ago.
Is that right? That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Beefheart died like 7 days ago or 6 days ago, and then Frank's birthday's a couple days later, I think.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Yeah, the thing with Zappa is when I go there, I don't come out of it for a long time. So to be like
I'm
the
the
only thing
same way.
so it's like it's not that it's like I have to resist it. There's some artists I just have to resist because I know it's just going to be a rabbit hole for a while, and I have too many things I haven't listened to yet. But I appreciate the stocking stuffer. It might be a gateway into a very raucous holiday season.
Yep. Yeah, Ivan Shake Your Booty's also awesome album. Yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. There's nothing more to say. I mean, it's Frank Zappa. So, oh, I know what I was going to say. As you said, sometimes when I listen to Frank, it's always, and I said this to my dad, like, I don't know, back in the day, which it's like, it's almost like with Frank, it almost spoils everything else in a way. Like I can only listen to Frank for a while because everything else just seems a little, I don't know, not as good. Some of it might be just kind of Frank's style and his just, I don't know, his cynicism about, other music and stuff like that is that I sort of kind of adopt that attitude maybe when I'm listening to his stuff. And it's like, yeah, man, Frank is so great. Everything else sucks, and that's not true. But it does kind of, I gotta get through my Frank phase before I can move on. I gotta take a little break and stuff. So
yeah, I hear you, man. I totally hear you. So everybody's doing their best of 2024. I'm seeing all these videos, and just the past couple of years for me, not because the music's been bad, I've just been disconnected from new music, but it got me thinking, like, what was the last new album that really blew me away? And it goes back to 2022, like really blew me away. This was like my album of the year, and it's probably an unpopular pick, but I'm going to pick it anyway. So the band, who I don't really like that much, actually, Spoon.
I like that cover.
Yeah. Well, they're like a greatest hits band for me. And I listened to this album, or started to, because I heard one song, but then the name of the record is called Lucifer on the Sofa. So I'm like, I saw the cover, the title, I'm like, something's different. And lo and behold, it was. So I'm going to gift you a song here called The Devil and Mr. Jones. Just a rockin', alt pop rock power song. It's got everything. It's got crunchy guitar solo, got a horn section, great raspy lyrics, cool lyrics. I don't love this band. I just, if I hear a couple things they release on the radio, I'm like, great. But this record, I played this record so damn loud when it came out so many times. I loved it. I still love it. I actually listened to it the other day when I was thinking about this. So I think you'll like The Devil and Mr. Jones. A lot of other great songs on here. But yeah, Spoon, which, me, this is probably a shocker to a lot of people.
I want to check that out, dude. I like that cover. So we'll see. We shall see. I'll definitely check that out. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. This is it. Wrapping it up. My last gift for you, Chris, and anyone else that hasn't heard this band. This is Boards of Canada, and this is Music Has the Right to Children. And I'm going to give you this is low-hanging fruit, as low as it gets, because this is like a 90-second song or something. It's called Olsen. And if you haven't heard Boards of Canada, it's sort of really speaks to kind of just who they are. It's cool, man. This is, first of all, have you heard Boards of Canada before?
I don't know, Chris. I don't think so.
Don't know. Okay. Well, I mean, it's electronic, but it's also very, they use a lot of effects in their music that will, and again, this is going to be like a generation thing. For me, growing up early in the 70s as a little kid and into the early 80s and stuff, it's very nostalgic, and it's meant to be that way because a lot of the samples that they use, the techniques that they use, like when they're like cutting tape and stuff like that, will take you back to like television from like the 70s. For like, it could be like a little a jingle from a commercial or something will remind you of that, or like these films that would get made for like public television and stuff like that. So anyway, I wonder what people think about that aren't from that generation, but they're obviously a big popular group in the IDM circles, you know. But anyway, check it out. I love their stuff, man. I have all their records. It's beautiful. I love it. It's nostalgic in spades. But I'm gonna give you an easy one. It's a short tune called Olsen, and that will tell you everything you need to know. If you don't like that, you're probably not gonna like Boards of Canada. But if you do, explore more of it. So I'm excited to see what you think, man. Boards of Canada, Olsen. I freaking love this stuff.
Nice. All right, so my last pick is probably my most strategic, and out of the 12 I'm giving you, if you returned 11 but kept this one, I'd be happy.
Okay.
This is a record that I've talked about with a lot of people because it was given to me by my best friend from college, Al, and when he gave it to me, it absolutely blew me away. And the reason why I'm picking this for you specifically is because of this 80s thing that you're on. Right?
I am.
80s dude. Electronic dance, powerful songs, powerful pop. It doesn't sound like that, but it's extremely influenced by that era. The band, and I mentioned this album a long time ago. The band is called The Whitest Boy Alive. And the track is 1517, which is one of the singles off this record. This is their second album. I'm looking for their first album. It is an ungodly amount of money to find. You've probably heard me ask some of our friends to help me find it. This is one of my favorite bands of the past 15 years. They're absolutely incredible. And I feel they are the evolution of everything and a lot of the things you've recommended to me, with a stamp of sophistication on maybe lyrics and themes that are a little bit different than some of the pop music that or the electronic music of the 80s. But these guys are freaking incredible, and I feel like when you hear the opening lick on the track 1517, you're going to be like, give me more, give me all of it. Where can I find out more about this band? So Whitest Boy Alive, 1517.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I remember you mentioning that before, so I got to check that out. The messed up thing is funny, like you said, trying to track down some of these records can be pricey, and that's the problem. Is that like if I like it, I'm gonna want it on vinyl, so it's like then I got to track it down and shell out some money, right? But
well, the good thing is this is the cheap one. This is easily available. It's funny because what was I going to say? The audience should know, obviously, you and I talk almost every day, if not every day. And you learn this quickly about me, is that once the understanding is about music, I'm just going to hit you with stuff nonstop. It's overwhelming. I know I'm overwhelming. My friends and my family are grateful for this stream because now somebody else can take up some of this attention that I give towards just recommending. So to your point about like, hey, I brought this up. Me too. Like some of this stuff I've maybe sent to you weeks ago or months ago, or some of this stuff I've held back, and I use this show as a way to say like, all right, now I'm putting it back in front. Now it's official. And I know you've done the same thing to me, because there's a couple things I'm like, oh man, he told me about this. Now he's gifted it to me. It's like you can't be better than that, right? So well done.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's what I love about this. Is it's going to keep us honest, dude. I'm stoked though, dude. I really like the stuff that you shared and that you're gifting me this year. So we're doing a playlist, right? So we're going to put together the playlist. We'll put it together on Tidal, Spotify, whatever else, Apple Music. We'll get it in the link as a link in the description of this video. I'll try to get it by tomorrow. And then yeah, you guys can kind of play along, and then that way when we come back, I don't know, a month, something like that, a couple weeks, I don't know, we can kind of circle back and just kind of give our feedback on the tunes, what we thought about them. And I like your idea. Like, is it a keeper or are we returning it? So make sure you send all the receipts, the gift receipts.
Yeah. You know what else I was thinking too, just because it's so crazy. I mean, I'm probably the problem here because I use Tidal and you use Spotify. I mean, Spotify is way more common. None of us use Apple Music. But we should I wonder if we can do a YouTube playlist of these as well. You think
Yeah,
that's
we could do something like
doable?
that. Yeah, that'd
This
be
way
cool.
we're not alienating everybody if they don't have Spotify or Tidal.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That
says
could
a
help
lot
out.
too about our collecting habits. You're on Tidal, I'm on Spotify.
Well, I mean, truthfully, I'm only on Tidal because I was in the Third Man Vault subscription, and I got it for like $5 a month. So I was like,
Okay,
oh,
okay.
that makes that makes sense. But yeah, I'll shoot you over my list so you can put it on Spotify. You shoot me over yours so I can put it on Tidal, and then we'll get the links up. That'll be fun.
Perfect. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, man. I appreciate it. Christmas is right around the corner, so we had to do this. Appreciate you guys for hanging out. Ivan, appreciate you, man. Great stuff tonight. As the table turns, thank you. Carol Ann was out here. Wyoming Dave, of course. Thanks for being here, Wyoming Dave. The real Wyoming Dave, as a matter of fact. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Come back next Monday. So next Monday, we're going to do our little, we haven't really decided what the angle is going to be yet, but we're going to do something that has to do with our New Year's resolution. So that should be fun too. And yeah, so I appreciate you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. Helps us out immensely. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. Check us out on Instagram. We always chop these videos up and throw them up there and stuff. So, Chris, it's been a real pleasure, my friend. Thanks so much, dude. I appreciate the gifts.
Dude, Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas to you as well. All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
Peace.